Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight, and today we will take a look at the four elements in Magick. The four elements, these are earth, air, fire, and water. The four elements. Earth, air, fire, and water are used within different systems of magic. The four elements are used within different forms of ceremonial magic. You'll find it within spirit evocation, the summoning of spirits, different grimoires. You'll find the four elements used within the Golden Dawn, within different systems of Western ceremonial magic. The four elements are also used within Wicca and certain forms of neo-paganism, and it's also used within modern Satanism. So different systems use the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water. For example, in some forms of modern Satanism, air is in the east. This is Lucifer. In the south is fire, Satan. In the west is water, Leviathan. And in the north is earth, which is Belial. So these are the four elements used within certain forms of Satanism. In ceremonial magic, you'll see the four elements used within different grimoires. It's used in the magic circle in a lot of grimoires for summoning spirits and spirit evocation. It's used within the Golden Dawn, within Thelema, and you see in Wicca. Wicca uses the four elements. In Wicca, when you go to cast a circle in a lot of systems, in the east, these are the guardians of the watchtowers. These are the four elements of the magic circle. So in certain forms of Wicca, in the east you will invoke air. In the south you will invoke fire. In the west you'll invoke water. In the north you'll invoke earth. And so in certain forms of ceremonial magic, you'll summon the four quarters, you'll banish the four quarters. You have the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, the greater banishing ritual of the pentagram. In the Golden Dawn, you use the Enochian tablets of the four elements, So in different systems of magic, you have the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water. The four elements represent philosophical principles that exist within man and within nature. For example, air represents logic, intellect, knowledge, reason. So air represents logic and reason and education and communication, and that is air. It has to do with our analytical ability, knowledge, things like that. Water represents emotions, our feelings, sensitivity, intuition, psychic ability. So while air governs the reason, water represents our emotions and feelings and intuition, psychic ability. Fire represents passion. So certain fiery emotions could be considered fire. For example, anger, wrath, rage could be seen as fire. Fire is in a sense a destructive element. Fiery emotions could also include lust, desire, zeal, enthusiasm. You could say that someone is inflamed with zeal. So fire is any kind of a passion, real fiery emotion. Fire also could be seen as the philosophical element. Because fire gives forth light, and light gives us the ability to see with our eyes. So if you're in darkness, you are blinded. What happens when you give light? You see. You see things as they really are. So fire represents knowledge and enlightenment. Notice that the word enlighten is simply the word light with "in" put on each end. So when you enlighten someone, you give them light. What do you say when someone's smart? You say, that person's pretty bright. That person is brilliant. That person's very bright. So that bright and brilliant, enlightenment, all have to do with giving of light. So giving of light is giving knowledge, seeing, sight, the eye. And this is fire. Fire also has the ability to transmute, to transform from lower states of matter into higher states of matter. So for example, a solid, you take an ice cube, you heat it with fire and it becomes water or liquid. You heat the liquid and it becomes a gas. So fire changes and transforms, and it also represents knowledge and also fiery emotions. So fire represents both fiery emotions and drives, and passions, but it also has to do with spirituality, enlightenment, transformation, as well as destruction. Earth represents the body. Matter. Earth represents the body. So within man, we have our logic and reason, our emotions, our passions, and our physical body. Earth is solid, and in nature, earth represents fertility, prosperity, finance, growth, money, things like that. So in magic, air is for education, knowledge. Water is sensitivity, love. It represents, intuition, psychic ability, astral projection. Fire is desire, passion, spirituality, also destruction, while earth has to do with prosperity, money, fertility, wealth. So, and you also see these in the different suits of the tarot and all of that. So at that level, these represent certain philosophical principles within man and within nature. Now, Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa wrote the 3 books of occult philosophy in the year 1510. And these were passed around in manuscript form until printed in the year 1533. And Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, his 3 books on occult philosophy that have highly influenced the Golden Dawn, different forms of magic, he talks about in his book 1 how different elements are apt to change one into another. Now, what do I mean by this? In nature, water is heated by the sun and it evaporates and becomes air. And moisture in the clouds becomes heavy and it rains. So you'll see that water becomes air and air becomes water. Now, when people think of the 4 elements, a lot of people say, well, the universe isn't composed of earth, air, fire, and water. The universe is made of helium and oxygen and hydrogen. The 4 elements are not intended to be interpreted as chemical elements. They are states of matter. So you'll see that solids, earth, could turn into a liquid, water. Water can turn into air, a gas. And air could be ignited by fire. Air could be condensed into water, and water could be turned into a solid. So that at a certain level, these represent different states of matter. And Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa talks about the principles of heat and cold and moisture and dryness. And if you imagine a cross, hot and cold moisture and dryness, and how this shows how different elements could change one into another. So that you could see that the four elements represent states of matter. Any liquid is considered water from a magical standpoint. So that in magic, water does not mean H2O. Water is any liquid. In magical ritual, wine could be considered water in magic ritual. Wine. Beer could be considered water magically. Beer. And I like beer. So anyways, any kind of a liquid is water from a magic standpoint. Any form of a gas, whatever chemicals are being released as gas, is air from a magical standpoint. And fire is fire, whatever elements are being burned up within it. And any form of a solid is considered earth. Earth is not just dirt. It could be stones. It could be metals. So that earth, air, fire, and water represent states of matter. And you could see how water could be turned into air. Now, also you see the different signs of the zodiac. You'll see that there are cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. So that cardinal signs such as Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, these begin a season. And so the cardinal signs begin a season. And people born under these signs are often said to be good at beginning things, but not finishing them. Fixed signs of the zodiac have to do, which are symbolized by the man, lion, bull, and eagle. The fixed signs of the zodiac have to do with the pure element. These are in the middle of the season. For example, at the exact solstices and equinoxes, it is changing into that season. During the fixed sign, it is in the midway point. The mutable signs end a season, so it's changeability and transformation into something new. So you could see how these different elements could also be interpreted as having to do with these states of changing from one element into another. From water into air, air into fire, fire into air, air into water, water into earth. And so you could see that these are different states of matter. Now how is this applied to magic? In magic, there are water and earth are receptive, whereas air and fire, they release energy. So the use of the four elements in magic have to do partially, this is just one way of looking at it, with different states of matter and how energy interacts with these different states. You can take a liquid, water, and turn it into air by evaporation. You could take solids and put some of that virtue into water by solution. You can take gas and turn it into water by distillation. So by alchemy or chemistry, you could see some of these concepts. So anyways, water and earth receive energy. They are thick enough that they are good for receiving virtues from above, while fire and air release energy and in ritual. Now, what do I mean by this? Talismans are physical objects. Talismans. It could be seen as a body, earth, that receives the virtues from above. Talismans are earth, they're solids, which could be carried with you. You infuse talismans with energy and carry these with you. And of course this overlaps because you can have an earth talisman, an air talisman, but basically any solids are known to hold energy, as is water. Now water is also known to receive energy. It is receptive. It receives energy when it comes to herbs. It could receive energy in different ways. So for example, if you take a cup of water and you stick your ritual knife within it, and you say, I exorcise thee, O creature of water, that thou cast out from thee all the impurities and uncleanliness and the spirits of the world of phantasm, that they may harm me not. In the names of Cernunnos and Aradia. You push your energy into the water, infuse it with that, and infuse it with the intent to drive away impurity. Or you could take cleansing herbs and infuse it in the water. And then you sprinkle the water. The water is infused with the cleansing virtue or blessed virtue. This is called asperging. Ritual baths. You will take water and infuse it with energy from your intent, from your aura, from different herbs, so that you could take cleansing herbs. Ritual baths are very popular within voodoo. In voodoo, ritual baths could be used to bring love, prosperity, good luck. That these herbs go into the water, it receives the virtue as a receptacle, and then you could bathe in the water. Holy water in a church, the priest blesses it and he sprinkles it. These are all ways that earth and water receive energy. They are a receptacle. The Eucharist, used within different religions of God eating. You take bread and wine. Again, bread is considered earth. Wine, even though it's not H2O, is liquid. It is water in ritual. Bread and wine are receptive so that they receive the divine influence, and then we eat bread and we drink wine. So solids and liquids receive energy. Fire releases energy. For example, if you burn an herb, it releases the energies in it. And so fire releases energy. In candle magic, let's say you want to do a love spell. You take a red candle, you take love herbs, and infuse it in oil, again receptive. You rub the love herbs on the candle, you rub the love oil, you carve symbols of love, you hold the candle, you push a desire for love, and then you light the candle. And the fire gradually releases the energy that you have built up. So fire releases energy. If you take incense or a smudge stick and you light it, the fire and the smoke releases the virtues of the herb. So fire and air are they release energy, while earth and water receive energy. So you can infuse earth and water, and fire and air active that they release energy. So if you light incense, it releases the spiritual virtues of the herbs into the atmosphere. So if you light cleansing herbs and you smudge the area, then the cleansing or exorcism qualities of the herbs go out into the atmosphere. Now, air is a medium. Air is connected to Mercury or Hermes. Mercury was the messenger of the gods, and he had wings on his helmet and wings on his sandal. It is movement and communication, and he held the caduceus wand, having the different serpents. It is communication. Air, speech goes through air. The celestial virtues come down through the atmosphere to the earth. So that air has to do with communication, transference, release. Burning herbs, burning candles releases energy. Incense could be a symbol of our prayers going to deity, communication. So that earth and water receive energy and fire and air release it. So there are different ways to looking at it. This is just one way of looking at it. That the different elements represent different states of matter, and how these different states react to astral energy and vibration for the use in magic. Now, there are other ways to look at it, that they represent philosophic principles, there's elemental spirits, all this other stuff. So this is just one perspective among many. And this is how the different elements are receptive and active, and how they're used in sprinkling holy water in cleansing baths, how they're used in candle magic, incense, and all of that, how these different elements are used within ritual.